All right, man. It is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talking That Talk, official podcast where we have comfortable and uncomfortable conversations. I am your host, Juice, aka No Ordinary Brother.
All right, what's good, world? I go by the name of King Exodus, aka X.
Man,
All right.
welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Man, we had some technical difficulties. I apologize on my end, but we're about to have a great episode. Today we're gonna talk about TD Jakes and the Backlash, man. Oh man. TD Jakes is taking some heat, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a surprise to me. For as long as I live, all I heard was the great things about TD Jakes. Everybody's quoting TD Jakes, right? TD Jakes, he's so phenomenal. Y'all gotta remember, he's been the top 10 passers for the last decade, longer than that. Top 10 in the black community, top 10 worldwide. Well, next to Joel Osteen's, you got and all that. These are big time people. So I don't know if y'all know what happened with TD Jakes. I actually have the sound clip right here. So what I'm gonna do, as soon as I get to it, give me 1 second, guys. I just had it for a second. It's playing the sound clip that actually happened that made him go viral, and we're gonna get to it. All right.
This breaks all sociological orders of the culture we're living in now. Because we are raising up women to be men. And you are not applauded for your femininity. You are applauded in the contemporary society by how tough, rough, nasty, mean, aggressive, hateful, possessive you are, and you're climbing the corporate ladder, but we are losing our families. I know you can buy your own car. I know you can buy your own house, but until you create a need that I can pour into, I have no place in your life. So stop coming home bragging to me about how much you don't need me and wonder why I shy away. Oh, y'all ain't gonna talk back to me this morning.
Woo! All right. I'm going to touch it up by this saying real quick, right? It was at first the black man was leaving the family. Now it's women not really wanting the family. We got to pay attention to that, what's been going on over the last few years and the decades. Kevin Samuels brought it up. The more educated a woman gets, the more she feels like she don't need a man, right? She can buy her own car, her own house, her own everything. Then some people stay with the saying like, what do I need a man for if I can do everything on my own? Or he has to have equivalent of what I have. See, within the family structure, that was what made it so compatible back then was when the woman stayed at home, the woman was there for the kids as long as the man was working and he was able to come home to them. Now, if both people are necessarily working at the same time, it doesn't still have that same effect, right? One of the guys that came on our platform not too long ago said, hey, look, women are the way they are because of the burdens they carry. So if we're finding out the more women work and the more educated get it and the more they get dedicated to their job, if it's still putting the stress and the burdens on you to where you can't go back to your femininity, then what's the point of it?
All right.
Oh man, it's blew up my camera. Go ahead.
So, don't do this again, round two. All right, so
Yeah.
TD Jakes, we can associate the title of him being a prosperity preacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I do notice is when it comes to prosperity preaching, as long as it attains to certain things we agree with, it's fine. It's uplifting. It's motivating. You know what I mean? If we talk about the prosperity preaching in the form of economics, somebody can call you lazy, tell you need to get off your ass, you need to hustle, you're doing everything wrong. We like, okay, cool, feed me more, give me more correction, continue to edify me, because the ending result is I'm gonna get this money. But when it came down to prosperity preaching and having that same energy towards a family structure, which is the building block of our group economics, we talk about generational wealth, we talk all this cute shit, right? You have no generational wealth without a family. The family is the foundation to it, right? So when we give that same energy towards family, now all of a sudden we got to walk on eggshells. There's certain shit you can and can't say. You got to be careful. You got to put the medicine in the candy, right? in order for your message to be perceived correctly, it got to be soft. It got to be this. It got to be that. Fuck that. Okay. The same energy that you have towards prosperity preaching, towards economics, have it the same in the family structure. That's the only way you advance throughout society, right? People got to be able to keep it real 100%. So that's the way I took it. First off, hearing what he said, it seemed as though he was concerned, right, for the black family, the black family structure. That was a message of, hey, we in trouble. That's not a message of, hey, let's argue. Let's argue more. Let's fight more. That's not pointing fingers, right? Because we say shit like the man is the head and the woman is the neck to hold up the head. It sound good, right? But if that neck ain't doing what it's supposed to do, you feel me? It's no head, right? But then we flip it and we say, hey, look, the man's just supposed to be the man regardless. So we're going to find bias nature on both sides. But when the man spoke, I took it as, yo, he looking out, not he's trying to destroy. And you feel me? That go back to a previous episode we did, IQ, EQ. If the IQ, right, comes prior to we get to the EQ, how we emotionally attach ourselves to words, it won't affect us the same way because we have a prior knowledge. So we can already see the direction of where he was trying to go with the conversation before we even can attach ourselves to the conversation. So that's my opening on it.
All right, man. I like I said, for me, for this year, like I said, I see TD Jakes waking up, right? The reason why I say I see TD Jakes waking up is because earlier this year, he said, hey, look, I need y'all to stop quoting me in y'all household, right? We understand when people have a certain platform, they want to use their words to their advantage. Call it persuasion, call it manipulating. And once people start taking effect to that, then they understand, like, okay, look, I'm in a position where either people are going to try to use what I say against another individual to help them out or to improve their situation, or they're going to misquote me. A lot of things that he started getting upset about is people are misquoting him and attaching his name to it. That's one of the biggest problems, right? Growing up, or right now, we don't want people misquoting us, right? Kevin said was talking about it all the time. He's on the show. He's like, yo, people misquote me and I already didn't hear the message, right? They're going by what another person says. You can't do that, right? You need to get everything that comes along with what I'm saying, listen to it fully, right? And when it comes to the masculine and feminine energy, there is definitely a rise, man. I talked about it all the time for myself. Like, two things I don't ask for, I'm going to take a woman serious. I don't ask for feminine energy. I don't ask for submission. It's either you are that or you're not. And I talked about, like, yo, you know, when it comes to sex, you know, it's cool to have sex with a masculine. I would never get involved with her. But at the same time, the way women are so masculine these days, I be asking myself sometimes, yo, who be sticking their dick in that, bro? And one thing y'all got to remember when it comes to sex is that's also an empowerment factor. The person, whoever they can have sex with at any given time, that's an empowerment factor at the same time. If you remove sex out of certain equations, people start feeling less powerful. We don't talk about that enough, right? Lady I used to date not too long ago, I used to talk about, look, when I was around you, you made me want to become a better man, right? You made me want to provide for you. You made me want to do all these things for you. And I just recently told her that, right? We don't talk on that level no more. And she was confused. She was like, well, how'd I do that? I was like, look, you was always soft. You wasn't masculine. You wasn't trying to outdo me. When we was in a relationship, I could do everything naturally. You didn't have to question it. So it added fuel for me when it came to trust. It added fuel in the bedroom, right? I'm gonna be honest with you. When a man wants to have sex with you a lot, he's connected with you. When a man don't want to have sex with you as much, he's disconnected from you. Or he just might not have that time. But there's a lot of pleasure when a woman is tapped into that feminine side. It drives a man crazy. It makes him want to improve. That's why I love when Tim said, look, feminine, beautiful, and inspirational. You can inspire the man to do anything by just being that. But if you masculine, I nigga need you get on your shit, man. Hey, look, you supposed to be the man. Like, Yeah, that's not really how you gonna motivate that man. But you know, I digress from there.
I want to answer this question real quick, and then I'll get
All
into
right,
my.
good.
All right, so we're talking about a man not being able to be the head if he's not acting in this particular fashion. So, I'll take it here. I'll take it here. No, before I do that question, I'll take it somewhere else. First off, because it's gonna come later. It's gonna come later, but keep that in mind.
All right.
So the first thing that we've seen here with the TD Jakes situation is a black man's leadership being questioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a black man who is profound within the community. We made him the face of black, one of the faces of Black America, especially when it comes to preaching. All right, we've made him that person. He's in movies, you know what I'm saying? We put him on that pedestal, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that means that as a community, a lot of people within the community trust his leadership or trust
Mm-hmm.
his image or trust his charisma. They trust
Mm-hmm.
something that he's pushing, right? So now when he pushed this message towards black women particularly, it's the backlash. Now it's a negative message. But this is a person that we put in that position of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So we can question whether men tap into that role effectively or not. That's fine. But are we saying that that's the majority of our men?
Mm-hmm.
Feel me? Or are we saying that we're talking about TD Jakes? He's in a position to where he can make that call or have that dialogue. One case in point, he's an elder within the community. So if Big Mama set us all down at the table
Mm-hmm.
and got on everybody's ass,
Mm-hmm.
no one would question her.
Uh-uh.
If one of our great aunts got on our ass, they could be wrong as hell.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have that disrespect to them in their face. We're not going to have that natural reaction of, fuck was she talking about? You took that shit, you went about your business, and
Mm-hmm.
if you talked about it amongst your cousins or whatever, that's what y'all did, but you didn't do it in front of Big Mama. Now, we don't see that same respect towards black men in most family structures,
Mm-hmm.
or even in a leadership position such as TD Jakes, only when the message is what we want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But we've trained our family structures to have this respect no matter what Big Mama say, no matter what Mama say, no matter what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You only get one mother. We're gonna give these women.
Shit.
Feel me? So on the flip side, those are things that we have to look at if we genuinely want to advance as a community. You know what I mean? Like if I'll go ahead and hit this point too. 8 months ago, TD Jakes did an interview, right?
Right.
12 minutes long. To me, I ain't gonna say it was worse than this, but it should have been more controversial. I don't think that was bad, right? So he was speaking about why men leave, and he was just saying, hey, men don't necessarily leave their children; they leave the circumstance, the situation, the spouse. They leave this, they leave that. He broke
Yeah.
down pressure points. He broke down which should have attracted more energy, why men aren't sometimes present, and how hard it is for them to sometimes establish relationships with the children, because that means that they have to establish the impossible relationship with the mother sometimes. He said all these things, and it didn't go viral, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like in 1 minute, 12 seconds, boom, he goes viral because he says something not to attack the black woman, but it's directed towards her. We look at Kevin Samuels. He had the channel for years. Didn't go viral.
Mm-hmm.
Mentioned black women, everything took off.
Everything took off.
So we can see throughout patterns, we have an emotional attachment to where black men specifically direct conversations towards black women. And they all go viral, but for different reasons. If the man is kissing her ass and saying everything, hey, just really pushing it to where she can't do no wrong, it's ate up.
Wow.
Feel me? But if it's not, and if it's directly correct or let's say inaccurate, but it's still direct enough to produce some type of change
Mm-hmm.
that's not necessarily wanted,
Uh-huh.
well, that guy's crazy. He's a narcissist. Something's wrong with this picture. You know what I'm saying? It's just not the same reception towards it. So I would always take what TD Jake said as if your grandmother, your auntie set you down at the table and told you those same words to your face. Would you have the same emotional attachment towards it? So. You got to.
Okay, man. Oh man. So I mentioned before, like, look, Kevin Samuels was the villain, right? He was the villain. They used to talk about he's such a bad man, da da da. But it's crazy enough the way he was and the posture he had, women still wanted him. People forget his stature, his posture, his work habit, his competence, his IQ, his EQ. He was like the ultimate man in one at the same time. But he was the villain. The villain's dead now, quote unquote. TDJ says one thing, now they're trying to villainize him. You know what I'm saying? He lost half his congregation because of the situation that happened, how the internet took it, how social media took it, right? There was a thing that they always kept saying was, you can't tell black women nothing. The more and more we live, we're starting to see that, right? Monique said, hey, look, loves, queens, can I get y'all to take those bonnets off y'all head? Hey, oh, goddamn. Oh, what's she talking about? Why I can't wear a bonnet, man? I need to get my hair done. Maybe my hair is like, yo, it's crazy. Women can't even correct. Men can't say nothing to women. Women can't even correct women. Right? I feel like that's a problem, though. Right? So I also say what's coming into hand is the butter me up effect, right? What does butter me up mean, right? When you say the right things for so long that it feels special to somebody, right? You know what I'm saying? In other words, I'm going to start with TD Jakes. A lot of people quote TD Jakes so much that they love everything that he does, right? The minute he direct that message to black women to try to improve the families, improve the relationships, the butter don't feel the same, right? Everything that he said once before, it doesn't feel that great. It doesn't feel that amazing. God damn it, this ain't the same butter he used to put on me, because there's a disconnect mentally, right? In the movie Mr. Deeds, right? He's married to a wife. His wife knew everything about him. Time he wake up, the things he's gonna ask for, she knew verbatim. One day, he came home, making sweet, sweet, sweet love to her, right? It threw her off. She said, it felt like he was making love to a different woman. This butter ain't the goddamn same. What is going on?
Right.
Another day, he went into the office. He's known for his suits, looking fly, looking professional. He stepped outside. She looked at him. He's like, he got jeans on. He's like, yeah, today's casual day. You know, I thought I'd do something different for the business, you know, and give people a chance to, you know, to relax. This ain't the same goddamn butter. Right? Your favorite rapper. He gets sober. Man, I don't like this music no more, man. Hey, put him back on drugs. If this is what he's doing, put him back on drugs, right? Lil Wayne went sober. People like, man, he ain't the same Lil Wayne. J. Cole said, look, I'm done, you know, trying to live this flashy lifestyle. I'm going to grow my hair out. I'm going to do me now. Man, this ain't the same shit. Kendrick Lamar just happened recently. He talking about healing the black community, traumas, and everything of that nature. Man, I wanted to hear some killing and some ass shaking, man. What kind of stuff is this? Even when you develop your image in a different way, it was people different. It ain't the same butter no more, right? That's when people be like, man, I can listen to the old him. I can listen to the new him. You had actors try out in different positions, right? Spider-Man, many different faces. They're like, yeah, but he ain't the same. He ain't the same guy, man. You know, we need to put a different actor in there. We don't never want to try different things or try, you know, what they're trying to create now because we're so used to what they do. You know what I'm saying? That can be the disconnect, but also it can also be the awareness at the same time, which is just up to us to want to listen that out, hear people out. But yeah, man, that's the butter me up effect, man. As long as that butter still hits like it once before, they'll listen. But once that butter don't feel the same, what they say? I can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe it's not butter. It's just tapping in on what you talking about. Like, be careful what entertains you. Like, your entertainment is most likely where you spend, well, most people spend majority of their time, like in front of the television. So somebody said some deep shit earlier. They was like, what you do frequently becomes your frequency. So you have to watch what entertains you. So if uplifting our community, right, is the conversation, that means everybody within the community got to upgrade things about themselves, men, women, children, the whole nine. So TD Jakes not being able to say what he said was saying like, okay, like a person that lived throughout multiple time periods that seen shifts and changes occur cannot speak on what he has bear witness to. That's like you connecting with an ancestor and then saying, I don't want to hear what you're talking about.
Right.
Like they already pre-existed you, so they should have a certain type of knowledge to give you, right? So that's what I saw him do. Being man to woman, cool. Um, a person within that particular position would have the most profound impact. That's why I think it came from that particular message came from a man directed to Black women, because who else should be able to do so, right? If you want the message to be fully impacted, right, it has to be heard on the biggest stage. It has to be heard from the highest mountaintop and shit like that. So people with big platforms have to be able to speak on these topics. And if it would have been more comfortable for a woman to do it, fine. You know what I'm saying? But it's nothing wrong with that man doing it because he's an observer. He's observed Black women through periods of time. So now going back to IQ, EQ, if we attach the IQ to it, we can go back, study history and see when did this change occur within Black women, as far as this, what he was talking about with the whole being proud of being feminine versus proud of being strong. And to give it a little bit more diction, if I look up the word, just look up qualities of feminine, we have nurturing, sensitivity, sweetness, supportiveness, gentleness, warmth, cooperativeness, expressiveness, modesty, humility, empathy, affection, tenderness, being emotional, kind, helpful, devoted.
And hey, give me that woman, man. Give me that goddamn woman right now.
Right. But not one of those words said strong necessarily. And it's not saying that women don't have a strength within their feminism, right? That's not saying that. But when they described what is feminine, they didn't emphasize strength. And that's all TD Jakes was saying. So we have to find out as a community, where did this change occur? When did this happen? Because this wasn't always the emphasis on being feminine. So that's what he said. We emphasize more the strength than the other factors of being feminine. And that gives us part of what we see now. So we just got to take it back to the IQ level. Like, when did this change happen? Who implemented the change? What generation of women began to preach a different message to their daughters? Like, once we put all that on the table, then we can have a different type of emotional attachment to what he said. So,
all right. Yeah. I'm going to quote this. A nation can only rise as high as its women. If we can't get our women to rise as the men are rising, what changes? Right? We talk about saving the Black community a lot, right? That was literally Kevin Samuels' message. TD Jakes, same message. We're trying to save the Black community, man. Stop telling us you don't need us, right? A man's purpose is to build, right? If I'm building and I don't have nothing to come home to, then it's like, yo, I did all this for nothing. Like, there's no support system. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the biggest things that we're talking about. There's several women I call pretty professional, right? One person understands why I call it that 100%. Other people take it as flattery, right? I was talking to this young lady, right? She's big in the corporate world. She's been climbing it very well, young. And we was talking about the housing market. And we was like, yo, it's a seller's market. This is what's going on. This is about to be affected. And we're understanding each other. She posted a video of her house. And I was like, yeah, that's a nice house. You know what I'm saying? I made a little small comment. It's a nice little house. And her next comment was, yo, when I get my house, I ain't trying to hear shit. I'm going to be building my stuff. I was like, yo, where the fuck this come from? Like, it's weird at times, like when I'm just having a natural conversation with women, like I be asking myself, where the fuck does some of this energy come from that you feel like you got to put it out there at me, right? You don't have to compete with me, love. Like, look, get what you want, right? I told X not too long ago, look, I believe in a starter house for myself individually, and when I get married or proceed on with a woman, buying another house and giving her that experience of home shopping. That's something like you want to do as a couple or unit, unless you already got something established. I'd rather have what I have in place for my kids. So like whenever they say 18, I want to move out. Hey, look, there's a house. Get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? And we already have the house that we have built for them to recognize as the house that they was raised in, lived in, loved there, and all that. But when you're trying to add and compare so much, oh, a man got a house, I got a house. You got a car, I got a car. Then it's like, yo, what the fuck is we competing for? At the end of the day, I don't date selfish women. I tell X all that time. When I talk to a woman, she's too selfish, I get turned off. What I'm doing now is small bit for myself, but everything down the line is for my kids. It's for family. And it's so much me stuff that goes on, it turns me the fuck off. Like, yo, so you doing all this for what purpose? That's another thing. Sometimes you got to realize what's your purpose in wanting to compete with men sometimes that turns people off.
Okay. All right, so let's take it here.
Okay.
We did a previous interview, and one of the key points that was brought up is that men create the systems. So men create the systems for women to thrive within their femininity. And this is what produces that. So if TD Jakes, being a man in leadership, he can't create a system if he can't speak out against the things he wants to implement within the system. Part of creating a system is having that energy, being able to speak out on how that system should function. So if you can't speak on how it should run and function, then you aren't in a position to create the system. So this is key. It sounds good, but we got to break that down, what that means. So it's always going to be some type of edifying going on, especially if he's in that position to create the system, right? So, and we got to look at male-female communication. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different dynamic. TD Jakes said this 8 months ago as well. He was like, cool, you married. I asked my wife tonight, make some green beans. All right? She came home, she ain't had the green beans. So he asked her, why didn't you get the green beans like I asked? He took it so deep, he was like, well, psychologically, she probably never pleased her father, never pleased any other man prior. So just by me asking that simple question, maybe that was a trigger. So now she already on edge. And he's like, whoa. So then she started telling her story. Well, there was traffic on the way to the store. I got to the store. You know what I'm saying? People was moving slow. I saw Helen. You don't like Helen today. So he's just sitting back like, I don't give a fuck about none of this shit.
Hey, I don't get none of that shit.
I ain't got no fucking green beans, right? So what he was doing throughout that example is breaking down how a man's communication sometimes can be more direct, straight to the point. So before we even get to these type of conversations, we both have to realize how the other communicates so that we even know how to attach to the form of communication or where the conversation is going, or the words that's being used, or the energy behind the words. You know what I mean? That's my point on that. I ain't gonna get too long on that. You got anything on that?
Oh,
Male, female
man,
communication.
I was going to tell you one of the major things, right? Straight up, men are killed for femininity, right? I'm telling you right now, men will kill for some feminine energy, right? At the most vulnerable points in a man's life, when he's with a woman or he decides to step out, you should pay attention to what that other woman is giving him. It's the emotional intent and the connections that come from it, right? And what's that movie? Soul Food, right? Soul Food? I think that is. Yeah. Where she ended up sleeping with old dude that was in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? At the times where he was trying to, woman wanted to hear him out and do stuff of that nature, she tended to that man in a way that woman wasn't able to. He gave in, caved in. You know what I'm saying? For myself, anytime I ever had like feminine energy around, it was always something beautiful for me, right? It inspires me. It motivated me. It made me more hungry. It made me want to do more. It just does what it does without you having to really explain it, right? You give a man a purpose to want to come home to you as long as you are, in that type of energy, in that form. Now, I kind of find it weird sometimes. I was talking to another lady not too long ago, and she claimed herself as an alpha, right? She's like, I'm alpha and I'm dominant. And I'd be kind of confused sometimes, right? I said, okay, you're an alpha, right? She's like, yes. Um, have you dated alphas? She was like, well, fake alphas. I said, cool. Well, when it comes to certain energies, sometimes you'll never see an alpha date an alpha. I said, if you can name one individual on a high platform that we can identify that alphas date alphas, I give it to you. But her only comment was, well, just because I don't know doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I was like, see, this is shit we be talking about. I was like, this is what we be talking about. It's obviously there for a reason. But not to be too long with it, man. I just wanted to go ahead and throw that in there.
All right. And tapping into a question. Okay. Man, that's being masculine. All right. So what TD Jakes was saying is, before he ended it, he was saying, okay, I know you can buy your own car. I know you can buy your own things. I know you work, but I still need you to be feminine. So, I mean, pretty much what that says is, okay, previous interview, we kind of agreed that, okay, if a woman goes out and works in order to produce, right, finances for the family as a necessity, not a choice, it puts her in her masculine, right? You brought up a point earlier, Juice, about women being overburdened, right? Not saying you agree with the entire comment, but that was part of it. So what TD Jakes is saying, I understand within this economy that majority of the times you will have to tap into that masculine energy. What he was saying more so was just go and ground yourself back within your feminine state. See, he didn't say you have to be 100% this or 100% that. I think he was being more realistic to the times at hand. You feel me? Somebody commented on the video, and it's like, well, it's 2022. Women can't afford not to do certain things. Okay, that's correct to a particular point. But we all have to reground ourselves within our nature. That's the only way you improve and you balance out, right? So one particular culture, our culture, do not have the balance when it comes to certain natures, femininity included, masculinity included. We argue about toxic masculinity. We argue about women not being in a feminine enough. And then, you know what I'm saying? So we have these arguments amongst our culture. So it just says that we're not regrounded. We're not getting back to what we should be doing by nature. You know what I mean? So that's what I took what he was saying. So, and other women work and bring back finances to the household. So it's not exclusive to black women. It's not saying that only black men aren't being men. So this is why black women react the way they act, not being in a feminine. Because if we're going to say that, then we have to say no other woman from no other culture or race works. And we know that's a farce. So we have to study other cultures at that particular point to see what are they doing that we're not doing. You know what I'm saying? If we at the bottom of the totem pole in certain aspects, right, then we have to see what's working. That comes to permutations, finding out what works and throwing out what doesn't work by going through multiple systems of applying different type of systems, right? So we got to do that. But in doing so, we got to accept, okay, we both got flaws. That's cute if people want to hear that. But that ain't what the fuck TD Jakes was talking about. You feel me? So if the family structure is the foundation, and I'll say it again, that means one of the biggest things within that foundation is the feminine energy. So if that's lacking, it's going to create a ripple effect. And in today's society, I mean, women can say some masculinity is lacking only because of the simple fact that women have to work and how to produce, which they never really had to do in previous time periods where we like to go back and dig up the history, right?
And when the
But
economics,
they did in certain points, depending on their class, because you always had classism. So that's really not a good argument either. So I shut up on that note.
Oh, okay. Like I said, one key point, like I said, he said it was like, yo, women are being more masculine, than men. A lot of people want to blame that on the men not being in the household, right? I know women right now that are single parent moms that got men dying to be with them. feminine as shit. I'll talk about one of my homegirls hit me up. She was like, I was school shopping. I just told her I was school shopping. I just got a random cash app. School supplies. I'm like, damn. So, but she's always been sweet and nice, right? In the relationship she was in, like, basically, she's trying to cater to a man that basically had, you know, drug problem, whatever it was. But I always remember, like, her, even in that relationship, always being nice and sweet. Like I said, men will kill for femininity. They'll take on a person with a child, 2, 3. You got it, baby. We want it. You know what I'm saying? It's to die for. Like I said earlier, it's to die for. I don't even want to prolong. You know, I don't even want to stretch this episode out too long. I mean, I'll say this. You know what I'm saying? For anybody who feels like, hey, TD Jakes was wrong, or you want to speak upon it, like, you can drop questions in the question box. I'm about to put that up there. Request to go live. Did you have anything you wanted to say on the subject as well? I mean, prolong.
Nah. I would just simply say, if you're really trying to advance as a culture, we're just gonna have to start looking at the messages and not look at how they put and where they coming from all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's like spiritual and religious to a particular point, right? So during the time Jesus was alive, they didn't accept his message
At all.
You feel me? Like, plenty messiahs existed, plenty people that foresaw the future and everything gave their message. It wasn't accepted. So if those civilizations crumbled or shit went to chaos because you didn't listen to the messenger, then let's not repeat history. Let's just start looking at the messages and not how they're being delivered, per se. You know what I mean? Kevin Samuel said a lot of good shit. He said some shit that, you know, like I said, I don't always agree with everything, but the message still had impact. But if we live in this personality worship culture to where I gotta like you 100%, I gotta like how you talk, I gotta like how you deliver.
Butter me up.
Right, butter me up, just to get the fucking message. So at the end of the day, we just gotta start getting the messages. Just look at that alone.